Hey guys, before we hop into your video, I wanted to tell you guys about my new partnership with BetterHelp. If you haven't heard of it, it's an online resource in which you can find your very own friendly local neighborhood therapist, no matter where you are in the world. You sign up, and within 24 hours, they match you with a licensed therapist that's right for you. And you can talk to your counselor every week via phone or video chat, and you also have the opportunity to text them in between sessions. As most of you guys know, I am also a licensed professional as well as a mental health advocate. And sometimes in these readings, very in depth topics come up that are very intricately related to mental health. And it's for that reason that I offer this resource to you guys. And if you know anyone that can benefit from them, or if you yourself can benefit from them, I suggest you take advantage of them. The information to sign up will be in the description box below. But let's go ahead and get into your reading. Hello, air signs. Welcome to your March as above reading. I am Princess India. If you are new, if you are family, welcome back, my friend. So we're going to go ahead and jump into you guys' cards and see. Whoa, okay. No, that's way too many cards. We're going to try that again. We're going to jump into you guys' cards and see what's going on with you guys for the month of March. Let's see. And in the event that you're not sure what their signs are, it is Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. Is that two? Okay, whatever. We'll see in a minute. All right, so let's see. The first card you guys have for your past influence, we have the High Priestess in the reverse, or Miss Ida. The theme for the month, we have Black Herman or the Magician. Your roadblock is the Hierophant or Bishop C.H. Mason. Interesting. And possibilities for the month, we have the Devil card. Fascinating. Or Miss Robinson. Okay, so let's go ahead and clarify each of these. What I would say, the first inclination that I get, and this is me not even looking at the cards individually, it's just the first sense that I get just from these cards, your theme and your roadblock and your past influence, it's more or less a lack of clarity that's rooted in a disconnect from one's intuition. But more specifically, when I say like a disconnect from oneself, is more or less not following your truth specifically, is the sense that I'm getting there. And then that's clarified, oh, perfect, with the Two of Wands. Yeah, what it's looking like for you guys, air signs, coming into March, it's more or less reaching a block. What is it with all these cards? That's way too many cards. It's more or less reaching a blockade, but not necessarily an obstacle per se. It's like, I feel it more or less like a cycle in you guys' life is ending. If I were to make that more mundane, it could literally be you finishing up with school, right? So what? It's March? Yeah, so graduation would be in May. So this would be like you, yeah, because it's like midterm time right now. So like say if you're in school, it's like you're taking midterms and you know after midterms it's going to be finals, and then after that it's like graduation. So it's more or less not like necessarily a big epic, end of a cycle or anything like that, but it could fall into anything for you really. Of something like school, it could be working at a job for and I don't know why. I mean, I don't know if somebody drive Uber, not Lyft now. It's specifically Uber. Someone driving Uber and getting to a point. I just realized I don't have lipstick on. See, Spirit be looking out for you, girl. But specifically here, someone driving Uber, and it's important to note that it's not Lyft. I'm just saying, you make more money with Lyft. I'm just throwing that out there. Okay, moving right along. But like driving Lyft and getting to a point to where you hit like a plateau. So it's kind of like the season for that is over. In other words, you've done only as much as you can do. So now you're at a point to where it's like a it's not transition I want to use. It's another word for that. But let's just go with transition for right now. But it's more or less you're at a transition point where you know this road kind of stops here and something else needs to be done. But I feel the reason why it's not clear as to what the strategy, plan, goal, or approach is next is because I feel the people that will resonate with this are people who haven't thought that far. So it's not to say that there's a lack thereof of planning. It's just kind of like being so dedicated and so invested into the season that you guys have been in. That's where I say like school is a really great example. But I'm not saying that it's only people who are in school. That's just the best example that's coming to me at this time. So it's like being so invested into, you know, your undergrad program or your graduate program, where for the last 4 years of your life, everything has been about getting to graduation day. And now that you're at that point, it's like you're finally coming out of it and you're like, oh, okay. So I need to start preparing for the next phase of my life, in so many words. But that's how it feels like you guys are coming into March. So you can apply that to, you know, your specific situation. But I feel the whole reason why one is unsure as to how to move forward, even though there's a desire to move forward and there's not necessarily an obstruction that's stopping you from moving forward. It's just that the transition within itself is a journey within itself. So it's kind of like you partook on one journey, this journey is over, and getting to the next phase of life is within itself a level of work. And it's just trying to figure out what one needs to do going forward. But with this high priestess in the reverse being here, we can also look at this as two ways in a sense. So it's more or less, it's either some of you literally have no idea of what you want to do next, and then for others of you who have some sense of what it is that you want to do, I feel your clarity will be found for both of you in your emotional space, like really tapping back into how you feel about it. Because it's really not coming up for me as relevance as to why the disconnect is there. It's just that if you have any questions on how to proceed, the answer to that is found in your emotional space. So it's really checking in with how you feel about it, or checking in with your intuition. It's like, what is spirit telling you in reference to that, or in your plans to move forward? Have you consulted, you know, spirit in that, depending on how it is your belief system and all that stuff is set up. Now, looking at the overall theme for the month, having the magician and then the four of coins, I feel this is a really good place to be in. That looks like a wishbone, but a wishbone ain't that big. Is that just a stick? That legit looks like a wishbone. But anywho, side note. But specifically with the magician being in the overall theme for the month, I feel it's a good place to be in. But with the four of coins, it's more or less to me reinforcing what I was saying in you guys' past influence. And whenever like I see energy signatures that are saying the same thing twice, especially when the cards come back to back like these, that more or less heightens the power of the message. So what I was saying about the disconnect here with the four of coins being here for the theme of the month, that lets me know what it is that you guys are going to be working on. So like I said, it could be one or two things. It could be something more serious that you guys have been through that's put you in a place to where you've disconnected with yourself. Because with the four of pentacles, I always say that when we shut off our heart space, we by default cut off spirit. That would be the explanation as to why it is the high priestess would be in the reverse, and why there's a level of confusion or a lack of clarity on how one would move forward or where you're going to move forward. But with the magician being the major arcana here, it's pretty much trumping whatever this issue is, and it's letting you know that, like, it's almost giving your power back to you. So in other words, I would see this as, in any way in your life that you presently feel disempowered in the month of March, it's saying, much like it has for every sign before you guys, that the issue or the solution to whatever problem everyone is facing this month lies within oneself. And very clearly in all of the readings, it gives what the issue is that's preventing the person from doing whatever it is that they're trying to do. But for my air signs specifically, is more or less being disconnected from one's heart space. And when I say heart space, it's more or less your authentic self, what it is that you really want, how you really feel about the situation. And looking at your roadblock with the Two of Swords and the Hierophant, that speaks to me more of like expectations. And it's something I was talking about with my couture members last night when we were talking about, like, we were talking about the status quo, and I was talking about the cultural mandate for happiness, which is in, you know, my specific case being an American, which is the American dream, you know, 2.5 kids, the nuclear family, a house with a picket fence and stuff like that, nice good government job with your retirement and all that good stuff. It's like, that's more or less the cultural mandate for happiness generally in America. And then for each culture within American culture, depending on how, you know, your socioeconomic status or the city that you grew up in or your nationality or what have you, all of these different cultures influence or condition us into being byproducts of them. So by default, we aspire to our culture's mandate for happiness. But because it is the cultural mandate for happiness and it's not an individual mandate for happiness, then what people say would make you happy, many of us will aspire to these things, acquire them, and then still feel unfulfilled. And that's usually how people start their, you know, personal discovery journeys. So I feel that's really the heart of the block here for air signs. It's more or less, one really doesn't know how to move forward because one's life and the path that's been taken up to this point, or whatever it is that you've been doing up to this point, falls under that category of a should, ought, or supposed to. And one thing I stress a lot with my clients, and I've probably said, I don't even know how many times on the channel, is whenever you find yourself saying something and you find yourself saying, I should, I ought, or I'm supposed to, that's not something that you're doing authentically. That's something that an external voice outside of you is saying that you are to do this, and you don't feel aligned with it. And that's why you'll put, well, I should do that. I ought to be doing this. I'm supposed to do this. But when you really truly feel conviction for something, you'll take ownership of it. And it'll be like, I'm going to do this, you know? So I feel that's what the biggest issue is for air signs. And I feel that's what's really going to come to light in the month of March. So if you guys are like feeling kind of stuck or confused or not really sure how to proceed or what you should be doing, the number one thing you want to do is reattune to your truth. It's like, what does your heart say? Or what is the last thing that spirit told you? Or why did you set out on this path in the first place? It's really about checking your motives. And those of you who have the Woke Book, you know that all of the reflection questions and everything in there are all centralized around that. And honestly, I would tell you guys to look at the number 5 year. Let me see what that is. Look at that. I was one page off. 2012. 2012 is the number 5 year, and it's a rite of passage year. And the theme of the year is the rise of the unquenchable thirst. When a student is ready for spiritual training, a teacher appears. When a believer is determined to know God, a guru is sent. And it's a transpersonal and interpersonal year.
And with this specific year, because for those of you who have the Woke book, there's like the takeaway and the appraisal questions. I feel that the message for this year, the takeaway and the appraisal questions, I think would be helpful for all air signs that do have the book, because this is more or less the vibration that is spoken of here. Like, it's a similar energy signature. That's the thing I love about this book. It's like, even though we're speaking about these specific years, it's just certain numeric vibrations that will continue to manifest themselves. And I would say also, because each year builds into the other, I would also say look at 2013 and 2011 too. And wait, 20, yeah, 2011. Because 2011's energy is very similar to 2020. So I would look at those just if you want some extra resources to help you out. But that's really what it's looking like for me. I feel like you guys are hitting this roadblock for your best interest, because the whole purpose of this is that it's almost like spirit orchestrated this to get you to look back into yourself, because it's almost like so much time has been spent outside of oneself that you've gotten kind of off track of why you started on this path in the first place. And then looking at what our possibilities are for the month with the Devil card and the 5 of Swords in the reverse, I more or less feel this is breaking this inner conflict. I don't really so much feel this being with someone else, even though just for the sake of it, I'm not going to say that it doesn't have anything to do, because it could. It's a lot of y'all. But it could have something to do with a particular person. If it does have something to do with a particular person, I don't really feel it so much as like romantic or anything. It could, but I feel this more as like an arch nemesis. That's what it feels like to me, more as like more or less like, what would be a good scenario? I don't know, if you worked in an office with somebody and say like the person who's your arch nemesis, it's like you guys are competing, and like the person just doesn't like you for no reason. You know what I mean? It's like they just don't take a liking to you and they make things very difficult for you. And this would probably be the most mundane way all of this would envelop in, if this has something to do with another person, but still taking into account this block that's being felt. It's more or less, imagine if you were competing with someone and you became so consumed with competing with them that you lost sight of what you were doing in the first place. So it's like you going to work every day used to be about you moving up the ranks and getting this particular position, but because you were in competition with this person, or trying to make sure that you don't lose your job, you know what I mean, and making sure that you're doing everything like on point so you don't get fired, it's like you lose sight of why you were at the job in the first place. So that would be an example of how, like, why one feels like kind of stuck or blocked, right? Or why you feel kind of off track, because it's more or less disconnecting from oneself. So it's like, it would be like habitually and daily in one's doings. Like a simple way that this can kind of sneak up on you is in your doings every day. The reason why you're doing the things you're doing, or engaging in the things that you're engaging in, isn't that it's coming from a heart space. It's more or less coming from a survival space, or a fear space, or a mental space, or whatever the case may be. But recognizing this and getting back to one's core and the why behind what you do, that's how you guys can overcome any of this conflict, is really by disengaging in it. But I feel the most important thing to take away from all of this, air signs, is being true to yourself. It's like, that's really what's the most important out of everything it is that I see here, is getting back to ground zero, getting back to numero uno, and doing the things that are in alignment with your highest truth and which feel right for you. So you guys can go ahead and ask a yes or no question. I'm going to throw the dice of resonance and the dice that have no name. And then after that, I'm going to pull the cards for you guys extended. Because in the event that you don't know, over on my website or Vimeo, okay. Oh, this is funny. Coworker boss fell out. So maybe you guys are really dealing with an issue with a boss or a coworker. That's pretty funny. On my website or on Vimeo, wherever it is that you're watching the extended, the videos over there are the individual signs as opposed to the element. So ask your yes or no question. We have yes. Co-worker boss came out again. So wow, okay. Then we have Virgo, then we have Capricorn, and we have Mars or male. So yes, Capricorn, co-worker boss, Virgo, and Mars or male. And I need to do what I've been was supposed to do with these dice of resonance. I'm gonna burn them. I mean, not like burn them, but I'm gonna take the little etching thing and I'm going to burn this stuff onto them. I've been supposed to do that. All right, let's throw the dice of resonance. A little bit about my life, people. Oh, wow. You guys have the number 2. You have Virgo again. Fascinating. And then this is Pluto. Oh, God, is that Pluto for real in real life? Because if so, all my couture people are laughing right now because we legit just talked about Pluto. Is that Pluto? Oh, no, that's not Pluto. That's Mercury. I was about to say I was about to get scared, Joe. All right, let's see. Mercury. So for Mercury, it says, mind and communication, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You're a messenger. What have you been communicating? Ain't that some stuff? What have you been communicating? Dude, let me tell you how deep this gets right quick. This pretty much wraps up this whole reading and envelops it into one central message. You're a messenger. We all are. Your life is a message. A simple question to ask yourself to reflect on is, what story are you telling? Right? As a parent, if you're a parent, think about your kiddos, right? It's like if your life, like from day one all the way till today, if Lifetime was going to make a movie on it, or some huge movie company was going to make a movie on it, or someone was going to write a book on it, what story does your life tell? What kind of story is it? Is it a hero's journey? Is it a tragedy? You know what I mean? It's like, what's the moral of the story? What could someone gain from it? What would it teach someone? Or if you looked at it, like I was saying with being a parent, it's like, what message are you sending your kids about life? It's like, what are you modeling? If your kids were to solely just go off of your legacy, of your experience and what you've done, what message are you sending? And it's interesting to look at things that way because it gives you that objective view of yourself, of how it is that you're living your life. And I feel with that, if you see anything in that narrative or that story that you're not particularly happy about, what this would be saying to you is that whatever oppressive force you guys are under, or whatever it is that you've been living up to, whatever that standard is, it's more or less giving you an opportunity to choose a different path. It's like if you're unfulfilled and you're unhappy, and this is something I said to earth signs, I said it to to water signs. It's like if you look at your life as it stands today and you're not happy, it's really looking at what would need to be different in order for it to be enjoyable for you, and taking into account the things that you have control over, right? And starting to rewrite that story so it's more reflective of a story that you'd be proud to tell, in so many words. And looking at number 2, that means you guys major arcana for the month is the High Priestess. And that the key words for that are diversity, bloom, fertility, self-reflection. And a question to ask yourself is, what are you manifesting? You know what I'm saying? What are you manifesting? Is what you're manifesting a clear reflection of you? Is it your truth? Is it? I don't know. I don't know your life. I'm just saying. So let's go ahead and pull these cards for the extended. Let me see who I'm going to start with. Gemini. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Okay. Whoa. I think I might do them all like that. Okay. So for Gemini, your first card is the Strength in the reverse. Then we have the Devil in the reverse. Ooh, Lord, child. The 10 of Pentacles in the reverse, and then the 4 of Wands. Okay, Gemini. Fascinating. And I'm going to do you guys hidden enemies too. Trying to find a quicker way to do this because it's 3 of y'all, but I'm doing it on the fly. Don't judge me. Libra and Aquarius. There we go. Whoop. I'm going to tell you your cards in a second, Libra. I just want to get Gemini's hidden enemy or pattern, person, pattern, what have you. Just stuff that you don't know that could be a sneak attack this month. Whoa! I know you lying to me, Gemini. I know you lying to me. Got my cards flying everywhere. Oh, Lord. They only have one card that fell face up. And it's trust fund. Let me find out, Gemini. Okay, Libra. Cards flew out everywhere. And Aquarius. And then I'm going to do you guys Oracle and let you go. That's Aquarius. I'm going to tell you guys what the cards are too. But Gemini, so we can sit you to the side with your trust fund. Gemini. Gemini. Who got this yesterday? Gemini, you guys have the temple of my body. Somebody got that yesterday. Was either Sagittarius or Leo? I think it was Sag, if I'm not mistaken. All right, Libra. Libra, naked before the stars. And I'm going to tell y'all cards. And Aquarius. I think this legit probably took as long as it usually does the other time that I do it. But guess what? I at least want y'all to know what y'all going over there to get. You know what I'm saying? So anywho, for Libra, your first card is the 10 of Wands. Then we have the 6 of Swords. Then we have the 8 of Swords. And then we have the 9 of Swords. Your hidden enemy or pattern is the Tenderists. And then your oracle is naked before the stars, and Tenderist, like people who be on Tinder. And Aquarius, your first card is the Queen of Cups. Then we have the Sun in the reverse. Then we have the Nine of Cups. And then we have the Two of Pentacles in the reverse. You guys, hidden enemy or pattern is the ghoster. Just saying. And then you guys, Oracle is colorless angel. That's fascinating. Very fascinating. Well, that has been your reading, my wonderful air signs. If you're about that extended life, then follow me on over to my website or over to Vimeo. But if not, I still love your freaking face, and I will see you guys sooner than later. Deuces.